Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Pour and Explore, a wine, food, and travel podcast. I'm your host, Nick Elliott, the wine guy. I'd love to be your go-to guide for all things wine, food, and the amazing places they take us. Here on Pour and Explore, we'll sip, savor, and wander through the exciting world of wine, discuss incredible cuisines, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, I'll bring you lively conversations with wine experts, chefs, travel pros, and fellow enthusiasts. We'll share practical tips, hilarious tales, and plenty of inspiration to fuel your next adventure. So grab a glass, pull up a chair, and join me as we pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. Hello, wine lovers, adventurers, and explorers. Welcome to Pour and Explore, the podcast where we uncork the stories of wine, travel, and culture. I'm your host, Nick Elliott. I'm the wine guy. And on today's episode, we are going to cover something awesome for history buffs, for the wanderlust driven, and of course, wine aficionados. Okay, picture this. You're standing in a vineyard surrounded by breathtaking Caucasus Mountains of Georgia. The air is with aroma of ancient grape varietals. Beneath your feet lies the soil that has nurtured vines for over 8,000 years. It's here, in the cradle of winemaking, that the story of wine began. The story that continues to unfold today in the lands of Eastern Europe and Western Asia. These regions, often overlooked in the favor of Western Europe's more renowned wine vineyards, are the birthplace of winemaking. In the country of Georgia, archaeologists have uncovered large clay vessels used for fermenting wine dating back thousands and thousands of years. This ancient tradition persists today as a testament to the region's deep-rooted connections to viticulture. Now, beyond Georgia, neighboring countries like Armenia and Turkey have equally compelling histories. Armenia's Arini 1 cave, for example, is home to the world's oldest winery, dating back 6,100 years. Turkey, with its mix of unique cultures and climates, has been producing wine for nearly 7,000 years. Although its winemaking tradition faced significant challenges in the 20th century due to political and religious shifts. Fast forwarding today, these regions are undergoing a renaissance. Winemakers in Georgia, Armenia, Turkey, and even countries like Romania and Croatia, where I was recently, are embracing the ancient methods while innovating to produce wines that rival the best in the world. Georgian wines, for example, have become synonymous with natural winemaking, using minimal intervention and traditional clay pots for fermentation to create complex, earthy flavors. Turkey, despite its unique challenges, is producing extraordinary wines that reflect its diverse terroirs, from the volcanic soils of the Cappadocia to the fertile Aegean Sea coast. However, due to export restrictions and limited production, many of these wines remain hidden treasures, accessible to only those willing to explore the regions, which is why it's important to get out there and explore. Speaking of which, today's guest, Rebecca Housley, is no stranger to these remarkable regions. She is an author. She's a seasoned traveler. Rebecca has dedicated her career to uncovering the stories and experiences that connect us to places like Eastern Europe, Western Asia. From her love of Georgian and Turkish wines to her deep understanding of cultural and historical context, Rebecca brings a wealth of knowledge to our conversation, and I really enjoyed it, so please stick around for that. We're going to talk about how these regions are redefining their wine narratives, why they're a must visit for the adventurous wine lover, and how their traditions are shaping the global wine landscape. We'll also dive into Rebecca's new book, Transformative Escapes, where she touches on her personal journeys and the incredible people she's met along the way. So grab a glass of your favorite wine, maybe even seek out a Georgian Sebaravi or an Armenian Arini Noir, and join us for an enlightening and inspiring journey. Together, we'll explore the past, present, and future of winemaking in these storied regions, and you might just find your next great wine adventure. All right, everyone. We are here today for another great interview on Pour and Explore, a wine, travel, and food podcast. Today, my very, very special guest is Rebecca Housley. Rebecca, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick, for inviting me. It is so lovely to be on with the one and only wine guy.
Oh, that's very sweet. Rebecca is the author of a brand new book that's coming out that she's going to tell us all about called Transformative Escapes, as well as a few others that we're going to talk about some of her great work. Rebecca is can we say, a serial traveler? You love to travel the world, and we're going to talk a lot about that today, including some of your favorite destinations all over the world, including some great spots in Eastern Europe, some great spots in Asia, and all of the beautiful things that you've experienced over there. So I'm really, really excited to talk to you. First and foremost, let's start with you. Let's tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been curating amazing travel journeys for over 20 years and predominantly in Europe. But recently I have, started traveling more and more outside of the norm and started, putting my travels into books. And just finding out a lot about different travel trends. There's a travel trend going on right now, which is slow travel. So it's for the people that are really wanting to, immerse themselves into the culture of the place that they are. They're not necessarily looking to go to all the typical tourist traps, but they're actually trying to live like a local and slow travel. So that's one. Another is adventure travel, where people want to go and they want to zip line, they want to skydive, they want to deep sea fish and, catch that blue marlin, and that's another trend that we're seeing. But the latest trend that we're seeing is medical tourism. So that is my latest book, is about medical tourism, where people are going for health rejuvenation, not only cosmetic surgery, but like stem cell therapy and different areas like that.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, my wife brought up the idea of slow travel recently, and I had never heard that term before. I mean, duh, it is what it says, it is, and
Exactly.
things like taking what is it, the Queen Mary, that's the transatlantic, boats from New York
Right.
to
On the
London, and
Cunard, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
fun things like that. It sounds like it's
Mhm.
becoming very, very trendy. Absolutely. And I love deep sea fishing wherever I
Oh,
go. My son and I are big fans of,
oh,
we love
yeah,
fishing in Mexico, Costa
for sure.
Rica,
Costa
yeah,
Rica.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you have to experience it all, because that's what travel is for.
Yep.
Absolutely. Mhm.
100%, 100%.
Not
Well, I
just
do.
wine. Not just
Totally,
wine.
totally. I definitely want to talk about your new book, as well as the books that you've previously published. But I wanted to ask, where did your level of travel come from? Where did that spark for you in your life?
Yeah, I think it's probably because I'm a Sagittarius and we are known to want to roam and we have this big wanderlust in our spirits. And so I think that's probably where, I got it from. Growing up, we never really took a lot of vacations. My dad was a business owner himself. He was a cosmetologist in Louisiana, in a rural town. And so we didn't have a lot of opportunity. And so, through adulthood, I was going to make travel possible for myself and for my family. And so that's been my goal. And then it branched out into travel for myself and my family and travel for others.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's what it's all been about for me, and now with the books, it's all about bringing it to even a wider audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the exact reason for this show, too, is I want to introduce amazing people who love to travel and love to share that experience with other people. I want to bring that to them, and it sounds like you have the same goal through your
Absolutely.
books.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what you're doing with wine too. We did one of your Pour and Explores and had the best time
No, I'm so glad.
hearing all the wonderful knowledge that you impart about wine. And I just love it. I'm so fascinated with wine. And, everywhere I go, I try to tour a vineyard and really get in depth into what makes their wine so special.
Amazing, amazing. Well, before we dive, let's stay on that track there for a second. Before we dive into the books a little bit, give us some examples of some things that you've experienced out there
Right,
in
right. Well,
Europe and so on.
one of the things I love to tell people because, and I know you know this, but it's like when people think about amazing wines, they think about France, they think
Hmm.
about Italy, but actually, that's not where it all started.
Absolutely.
And in fact, the country of Georgia is the actual cradle of wine. I mean, they really began it.
Yep.
And so it was so interesting to me because they started making wine over 8,000 years
Hmm.
ago.
Right.
France and Italy, they've been making wine for 4,000 years.
Hmm.
So when you think about it, they're the babies of the wine, right?
When
And
it
then
comes to Europe, yes, absolutely. Yep.
exactly, exactly. So, and then when you throw Turkey in the mix, I mean, they started making wine around, 7,000 years ago. So,
Hmm.
but really a long time way before, Italy and France ever started. So, that to me is extremely interesting. And of course, Turkey, they have kind of a strange history with their wine
Hmm.
because I'm sure you know that, after the First World War, their wine production, pretty much stopped. It was
Hmm.
stopped. Their government declared them as a Muslim state and that, they could not, according to their religion, make
Right.
wine anymore. And they were even told that it was a sin to sell their grapes to make the wine. So, I
Interesting.
mean, even their grapes kind of laying dormant for so many years. And then I think it was like 1927, 1928, they started back production. And so it's, they're reconnecting really with their wine practices that are so ancient.
Yep.
And they do a lot of wine, they put their wine in these clay pots,
Hmm.
which gives the wine such a spectacular, just a unique taste. You really can't find it anywhere else. I haven't been able to.
Yep.
And a lot of their wines have like almost a licorice,
Hmm.
taste. It can be a tiny bit spicy, but you can find some dry too, some cherry plum, which I really love.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
and the thing about it is like what I tell people about Turkey is you can't go into your Total Wine or your local wine store and find
Right.
Turkish wines. I mean, typically they're just not there.
A
And
100%.
not like France or Italy, you've got two aisles of those, So to really experience it, you have to go there, you know. And same thing with Georgia. Same thing with Armenia is another one.
Hmm.
You know,
Romania,
exactly.
Croatia,
Right.
the wine production in that region of the world, just north of the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, it's a great point. It's 100% the seat of winemaking, and it goes back just thousands of years. And the sad thing about it is you really can't find wines from that region
It's
in
true.
the States. Yeah, it's which I would love to see changed.
Me too. You
100%.
know, I really would love to see that change because those people have so much to offer as far as winemaking. But, until then, why don't we all just go there, shall we?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I've not had the pleasure to have gone to Turkey yet, or Georgia, or Armenia for that matter, but I did tour Eastern Europe, a lot of Eastern Europe earlier this year, and was able to go to amazing wineries in Romania, Austria, Croatia, yeah, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, and a bunch of others. But I mean, just the highlight of that trip for me was just tasting these amazing wines
Absolutely.
that I know about them, but I never had the experience just
Right.
because I couldn't get my hands, on them.
Yes.
And bull's blood wine in Hungary. I mean, it
Right.
just I could go on and on for hours, but
Oh, they're so welcoming. I mean, they love to talk to you
oh
about
yes.
their production and how careful they are with it. And a lot of them are organic
Hmm.
farms, which I really appreciate and love because it's so hard in and of itself. But then when you throw in doing it organically, it's even more difficult. And speaking about the grapes too, I know that there is in Turkey, there is a particular wine, I think it's called Ukuz Guzu, which is a
Hmm.
hard one to say, but it comes from these big, fat, like purple, deep purple grapes that are
Hmm.
called ox eyes because that's how big they are.
Yep. Yep.
And it makes such a rich, if you're a red wine lover, you have to try it in your lifetime because you're going to love it.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to say to the audience listening that when Rebecca and I say that these wines are not available here in the States, they're not readily available, but you can
That's correct.
absolutely find them,
You
with a quick Google search. Go ahead and look up some of these Turkish wines or Romanian wines, Georgian wines. Georgian wines are so much fun. Georgian wine reminds me of Italian wine and Mexican wine. It's rustic and it's delicious, and it just absolutely fabulous. And every country has kind of their own style, if you
exactly.
will. So definitely a lot of fun things to look at. So, if you're interested in all as a listener of checking out some of these wines that we're talking about today, please go on Google and see what you can find here in the States. Or let's have you, travel to Georgia with us sometime, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Love it, love it, love it. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about your book. So my understanding is you have 3 books out on the market. Is that correct? Let's go through them in progression and tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. So my first one is called Thrilling Escapes for Adventure Enthusiasts. And that touches a little bit about the, travel trend of adventure travel where people are wanting to go hiking and biking and, skydiving and zip lining. And they
Hmm.
want to really experience life. This is not about, sitting around and going to museums, although you can add that,
Hmm. Hmm.
but this is about being active, being present the whole time you're there, and really experiencing life. And so I just chose the 5 top destinations for me for adventure travel for that. And
Hmm.
I even put our wonderful city here of Santa Fe in there because
Hmm. Hmm.
we do have a lot of amazing adventure travel opportunities right here
Yep.
with hiking and biking, whitewater rafting, which we do a whitewater rafting tour, and then we take you on a wine train tour.
Oh, how much fun is that? Yeah,
Come on,
absolutely.
pairing
Yeah.
whitewater rafting with wine, what could be better?
Well,
So,
and that's a great point. I'll throw
yeah,
on top of that as well. New Mexico is not necessarily known as a wine destination,
and that's
but
yeah,
beautiful, beautiful wines are coming out of New Mexico, and for that matter, all 50 states in the union are producing wine to some
do that.
extent prevalent, nowadays, which is super, super fun. I've never had Alaskan wine, but but I look forward
Oh,
to trying
I
it.
want to.
Um, Absolutely, but New
Yeah.
Mexico's got some beautiful wine areas, so I'm glad that you're taking advantage and promoting those folks up
Oh,
there. That's
oh
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yes, I mean, we really are proud of our New Mexican wines here, to be honest with you. And we have
Hmm.
some really great vineyards that you can come and tour as well, which is a
Hmm.
part of that rafting tour, but I was telling you about. But then moving on to my second book, it's called Exotic Escapes, and
Hmm.
it's about the lesser known countries. Because, and the reason why did I write that? Okay, I wrote that because I'm a travel advisor as well. And so
Hmm.
I've had people come to me and go, I've been to Italy and I've been to France and and so I feel like I've been everywhere. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. Have you been to Armenia? And it's
Right.
like, no. Well, what about
Hmm.
Georgia? Oh, you mean in Atlanta, Georgia? It's like, no. So I just wanted to show people, like, if you think you've done all the traveling you need to do in your life, you need to think again, because there's so many more places, some might call them exotic, I would, that
Hmm.
you can go and experience the culture. And a lot of those places, say, take Azerbaijan, for instance, people might say, oh, well, they don't really like Americans, so I don't want to go there, or I'm afraid, or something like that. And I'm trying to show people, like, you don't have to be afraid. You can
Hmm.
go there, respect their culture, especially like in a place like Iran. You want to respect their culture. Women, just wear a headscarf. It's fine.
Hmm. Hmm.
But, aside from that, I want to encourage everyone to experience every culture for themselves. And I think once we do that, we get a little bit closer to world peace, because then when we can put ourselves in the shoes of another human being that lives far away, that we know empathy and how it feels to live in their shoes. So,
I'm so glad you said that, and I don't like to think of America as an isolationist
yeah, no,
country, but I would love to see us as a culture to get out there more and to
exactly.
experience more. My wife and I travel extensively, and we talk about travel extensively, and our focus, for the rest of our adult lives, moving forward, is to travel everywhere that it's safe to travel to. And by
You
safe, it's, is the country in wartime right now, then I probably don't want to travel there,
uh,
but, walking the streets of any big city or any small city for that matter
you-
in the United States is, just like, traveling to a small town in Azerbaijan or a big city in Czech
absolutely.
Republic or whatever the case is. The only difference is you're outside of your comfort zone and your culture
Exactly.
zone.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. And a lot of people feel, scared about that. And then, a
Hmm.
lot of people say, oh, but I don't speak the language. And it's like, well, why not expand your mind and just learn a little bit of the language? And, 9 times out of 10, a lot of them do speak English, you
Yep.
know, and that's just my experience. But as
Yep.
long as I greet them with a, hello or marhaba or salam or whatever,
Hmm.
wherever I'm at, they respect that. And then they're going to be your best friend, and I've made so many friends around the world
Hmm.
that are always happy to receive me and have dinner parties and stuff. And it
Yeah.
just makes you feel like, you're just so thrilled to be able to know these people and to be friends with them and talk to them every other day and see what's going on in the other side of the world. So
Absolutely.
I really
Absolutely.
love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, that into, I've got a great interview coming up with a woman named Grace, and, her expertise is in planning solo travel for people. So, talk about trendy things, slow
Absolutely.
travel, adventure travel. Solo
Absolutely.
travel has become a huge thing. And I mean, I don't want to give it all away in this episode, but it's learning about, individuals, going on trips, adventure trips, relaxation trips, and so on. So I'm excited to talk about her. And I'd actually love to connect you two because I think you'd have a lot
Oh,
of fun
wouldn't that
talking
be
to one
great?
another.
Oh, I'm
Absolutely.
all about it.
Perfect, perfect,
But
perfect. Well, let's finish off the discussion about your books with the new book, Transformative
okay.
Escapes. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that.
I'm so excited about Transformative Escapes, Nick. And the reason why, what brought me to medical tourism is someone I dearly love was diagnosed with COPD.
Mhm,
And it's due to complications of living in ground zero due to 9/11.
mm, mhm,
And, basically the doctors these days, they just throw a prescription at you and are just like, well, however long you got, it's just like, and they're really, they don't want to cure you.
mhm,
And I was just so upset and so overcome. And I said, there has to be another way. Like, there has to be something else. I mean, it's almost 2025. Come on, And
mhm,
so I started really digging in to new medical procedures. And I landed on stem cell therapy,
mhm,
which I wasn't familiar with at the time. And I found out that Nora Ephron, who's the famous writer and director, she directed When Harry Met Sally,
mhm,
but
mhm,
she died of leukemia, which is what my dad passed away from as well in 2010. And her sister, Delia, who wrote the movie You've Got Mail, she was diagnosed with it, I think, like a couple of years ago.
mhm,
And she thought, well, that's it. I'm dead like my sister. I got the same stuff and I have no choice. I'm going to die. And she landed on stem cell therapy
mhm.
and she's completely cured,
Wow,
completely,
wow.
completely cured of a horrible AML leukemia. And so as I started getting into it, it's curing so many issues right now. I mean, we're talking
Mhm,
RA, MS, back issues, neurological diseases, including like, Alzheimer's disease. People are using it for autism. Like, you
mhm,
just would not believe the lives that this therapy is changing. But because the insurance companies have control of our health care
mhm,
in America, we do not have the access readily
mhm.
to it. And if you do get access to it, it's a fortune. I mean, we're talking $60,000 to $100,000 for this life-changing, medicine that people with chronic illnesses need.
Life
So
saving, it sounds as well.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I went to Turkey. I met with doctors. I, made so many amazing friends who, you know, was like, yeah, this is what we do. And they see a lot of people come from like London and like the UK and stuff like that. But they are seeing a little bit more of Americans. And I thought to myself, okay, I've got to connect the US to this opportunity,
Mhm,
And then once I started doing it and, doing my research, I found out it not only can connect you with stem cell therapy, but IVF treatments. I mean,
mhm,
my niece Jana, she went through IVF with her husband, $60,000. I mean, yeah, it was successful, but that's a lot to put
mhm.
on brand new parents where it's
Absolutely.
$5,000 in Turkey. I mean, do you see the difference? And do you
Yep.
see why it's so important? So instead of spending $60,000 to do it in Dallas, Texas,
Mhm,
and go have what I call a pre-baby moon Go Turkey, go to, enjoy the Turkish baths, relax, go have your procedure, come back, do some touring. I mean, what could be better? And then have a baby, you know?
Love it.
Oh,
Love it,
yeah,
love it, love it.
just so many different things to think of. I mean, even cosmetic surgery. I toured this wonderful facility that was a recovery hotel. So people would go have like mainly cosmetic surgery, and then they would go back to this hotel, and then they receive, um, every day, daily massages, and they're in just the lap of luxury, and they get waited on hand and foot, and it's amazing. And I mean, I saw mothers and daughters doing like little vacations to get little
Right,
things
right.
done, and then I met like a husband and wife, and they were having something done. I didn't know what they were having done, but like there was, even from London, there was like a little bachelorette party.
Mm,
And like one lady had like a nose job, and I think the bride got like a lip injection or so.
right,
Anyway,
right.
it was wild,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
Make a
like,
party out of it. Love it.
exactly, exactly. So that's the trend. So
Oh, excellent,
anyway,
excellent.
it's just eye-opening, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, on one side of it, it sounds, absolutely, fascinating and fun with the things that you're able to do over there in those other countries. I know we're specifically talking about Turkey in this matter, but I know that Costa Rica, does things like that.
Yeah.
Mexico. I'm here in San Diego, so I have a lot of people that I know who just go over the border to Tijuana to go to the dentist, to go to their family doctor, things like that. And the unfortunate and interesting spotlight, that has been put on healthcare in the United States recently, I think highlights what you're talking about even more and
Right.
how important it is to people. So for our listeners and our watchers, if this interests you at all, this book is absolutely amazing and it's chock full of great information. Tell us where we can get Transformative Escapes as well as your other books.
Yes, so I am on Amazon. So you can just search on Amazon my name, Rebecca Housley, Housley, or you can just search my book titles. They all end in escapes.
Hmm.
So it'll be easy to remember. But and you can follow me on Amazon as an author, Amazon. And then I do have a website. If you want to go to my website, it's called transformativeescapes.com, and there you can learn a little bit more about the packages that we offer. Say, the reason why I do the tours to Turkey is so that I can be there. So
Hmm.
if you're going over there to have stem cell therapy, I'm going to be there holding your hand and making sure that you feel comfortable, because a lot of people do it by themselves and it's a
Right.
scary thing. Now, if you want to go on your own and go, say you want to go to Thailand, that's fine too. I can still book that for you. I just won't be there with you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's it, or if you
Okay.
want to do Mexico, same thing. I can book it for you, but I just won't be there.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. That's excellent information for the listeners. I will make sure that all of your links are in the show notes so they can get to you directly. And I think it's really, really important stuff that you're doing. So thank you for providing the information for us, or for whether it's just getting your nose done or something a lot more serious for medical treatment. I think it's a great option, and I definitely appreciate the information.
You bet. Thank you, Nick.
Of course, of course. So let's talk about what's coming up. Any other books in the pipeline? What else? What else do you have planned travel wise coming up?
Yeah, so I will be spending New Year's Eve on a Bosphorus dinner cruise in
Hmm.
Turkey. I will be going to see my friends, a lot of my friends, a lot of the doctors that I met while I was doing my research. They're planning a banquet on the 5th of January. Additionally, I have done some investing in Italy. So I have a little
Okay.
Airbnb I'm getting going
Oh.
in Roccastrada, Italy, which is Rocky Road translated. Located yeah, it's located in Tuscany. So
Yeah.
if any of your listeners are interested in slow travel in Tuscany, I know exactly the place to stay.
All right. Well, I think you and I are going to need to have a chat.
I think so, Nick. I think you
I
have to
think
be the first
so.
person to go there. Let me
Oh,
know.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, fantastic. Well, with that being said, this episode will air after the new year, so hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you about that fun trip to Turkey that you're taking in the new year. And, please make sure that you're subscribing to the podcast, and we would maybe love to hear in the comments some updates on that travel if you get a chance to do that. So
Oh
be
my gosh,
exciting to hear
Nick.
about that.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, is there anything that you'd love to tell the audience? Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap it up today?
Well, I'm just so excited for this platform, Nick. And like I said, I've been a fan of the wine guy because, I'm a huge fan of wine to begin with. So, I just love the knowledge that you drop on people as far as wine and food. And I'm telling you, one of these days we'll have to get together and maybe it'll be in Italy.
I love that plan. I love that plan.
Yeah,
Well, it was great to talk with you. Thank you so much for your
thank you.
time and being on the show with us. And I look forward to catching up with you really, really soon. Rebecca, thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories, and your questions, so you can drop me a line at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links on my website at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everyone.